and welcome back to Bourbon Barrel Talk. I'm your host, Scott Minton. Today's episode of Bourbon Barrel Talk is brought to you by Fulton Smith Insurance Agency. At Fulton Smith Insurance, owner Mark Smith and his team can help insure your home, auto, business, life, and they also offer Medicare supplements. With over 40 years' experience, he can put together an individualized plan for you, your family, or business. Please call Mark to get your free quote today at 812-725-0815 or email him at marks@fultonsmith.com. And as always, please remember to drink responsibly. Fulton Smith Insurance Agency is a direct affiliate with Erie, Progressive, and other insurance companies. And we're back in the Brock Bourbon Bar, and we are chilling like a villain, not bugging, illin', or stillin'. We got Mr. John Ernstberger in the house. What's up, John?
Hello, everyone.
Barbara, what's up?
Howdy.
What's up? And Carl.
How you doing today?
Carl. Every time I just want to think of The Walking Dead, man. Poor kid.
Everybody
lost his damn
thinks
eye.
that same damn thing.
And shoot your eye out, man. Poor kid.
That's got to be hard, though, when you start a show like that as a kid and then it's on for, 8-something, 10
Yeah, but he didn't make it
seasons?
all the way.
I know he
No.
didn't, but, to be that young and then to, physically grow up during the show.
Yeah.
Get all, lanky and long hair that he did.
Yep. No. It was definitely cool. I liked old Carl. Anyway, we are sipping on our round 2 of the Amburana finish. This one is cask strength.
Yes.
And this is a funky blend. Like when we did this blend, I was like, man, I was even questioning myself on whether we thought this was a good idea.
Well, we threw a couple other things in there.
Well, not only that, but I also started thinking about the other one. Is as delicious as I thought it was, Wild Turkey and Old Foe, I wanted to add some sweetness to it, or at least try to find some sweetness. So I pulled some wheated bourbons out to add to this batch. So we've got a nice little blend. It came in at 118.6 on the proof range.
That's lovely.
So, Carl, you want to tell us what's in this bad boy?
So we have Peerless 7-year-old proof 109. We have Rare Character 6-year MGP at 118. We have Bourbon Barrel Bourbon. I'll get it right. 9-year.
That's our podcast, Bourbon Barrel.
At 110. We have OFO 5-year at 125. We have a 1792 full proof at 125. We have an Ezra Brooks 5-year at 120 proof. Old Granddad 114 at 114. Old Elk.
Wait. Go back. I missed
you.
that one. Go.
Is Oak Red 114, 114? No.
I thought it was
I've had a few.
113.9.
So the Old Elk is a 5-year 116 proof. A Rebel single barrel at 113 proof, and a Benchmark full proof at 125.
Yep.
With 13 grams of wood chips.
13 grams of wood chips. I did add another 2 grams at, I want to say it was day 8 or 9. So
Let's say for about 11 days or
about
so.
11 days, I think, is how long we aged it. And it was NorthEast Barrel Company, right? And who
Yes.
sent us this stuff? So super cool of them.
Quick question. How many actually went into this damn thing?
How many bottles? Or I think there was 7 or 8 different bottles.
And then a follow-up question.
10?
10.
I was wrong. I was way off.
Lordy.
So 10 different bottles. It was a mixture. We had 2 what I would consider wheated bourbons. So one was the Old Elk and the other one was the Rebel Yell.
Okay.
And then the rest were what I would consider high rye bourbons. So
Okay.
had a high mid to high rise. So
Technically, this is a 4 grain a little bit.
it is technically a 4 grain. You're right.
Before we break it down, what was your process in determining what to add to the mash?
So to speak.
Well,
Or was it just hey, let's point at things and
okay.
dump some
We
in?
had bottles. We poured what was left in them.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically.
Ooh, okay.
We only had one full bottle to start out with.
Yeah, we had one full bottle. That was Nick's. It was the Old Forester,
Oh,
which
nice.
I was shocked that he gave me an Old Forester barrel strength to throw in this bad boy.
Hey, bring it on.
I think
But-
Old Granddad was the next.
Yeah,
Most.
it might have been the Old Elk. It would have been either the Old Elk or the
Old Granddad just beat it by a little bit.
Just a little, like 100 milliliters difference, right? One was like 6, and the other one was like...
130 milliliters more for the Old Granddad.
So I said 100. I mean, geez, be super precise, why don't we?
I have the notes.
I know. Fair enough.
Whatever.
So
Nose on this is so freaking
I
delicious.
know.
Yep. So
It's rich.
it is rich. It's got all the things that you would get in your typical Amburana cask. I mean, it's got that cinnamon.
Agreed.
It's got some baking spice. Got a little bit of vanilla.
I get a little floral.
some tobacco. A little. I would agree. There's a
Hint of
little
floral.
bit, but the floral that I'm getting is that sweet floral, like honeysuckle.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Totally.
Something like that.
And there's nothing less than a 4-year-old in this.
No.
Okay. Ooh,
So.
that'll be interesting. I can't wait to actually taste it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you haven't been probably drinking it all night already.
I haven't touched this one yet.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
No.
I'm proud
Just
of
everything else.
That's what Nick says.
you. All right, I'm diving in. Who's going first?
Let's go.
Go. Hit it. So, I will tell you, like, when I look at this while you guys are taking your pull, it's got a ton of legs on this one.
You get
And I think the wheat kind of helps with that a little bit, gives you a little complexity.
you get a little sweetness up front. You get like a cinnamon or a dark sugar. You get a little bit of Kentucky Oak on the back part.
Right.
It just stays with you the whole
Yeah.
journey down your palate. Like it doesn't ease up at all.
Like vanilla, caramel.
Yep.
A little bit of leather, not much.
Oh, dude, the mid palate on this thing
It
is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Man.
I think
it's
we
not,
did a
it's
hell
not
of a job on
chewy. It
this
is
one.
smooth and sweet.
Now the finish is that I will say the finish is good, but that's probably the weakest part of this pour. Honestly, is the finish. Like the front palate's good. It's got nice spice. It's got the pop. It's got a little bit of that rye.
But the
The
mid,
mid,
is
dude. The mid is
fantastic.
like, I mean, it's caramel. It's vanilla. It's tobacco. It's I mean,
Oh, yeah.
everything
Like
that chip brings. It's in there, man.
I think the
Yeah.
mid palate makes up for the back palate.
Yeah, for
Yep.
sure. But the finish is super smooth. I mean, like
Oh, yeah.
I'm shocked at how smooth this is, considering it's 118 proof.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no burn or hug really at all.
I
I
mean,
get a
there's
little bit
a
of hug,
tiny
but
bit
not
of a
much.
hug.
I don't know.
Right.
But I mean, it's just, I mean, it almost stops at the collarbone.
Yeah.
Kinda
No, it
look.
stops well above the collarbone. Like this is like barely like
Right at the
yeah. It's
back
like
of the
not even
mouth.
your Adam's apple. I mean, it's like right around. Well, I mean, listen, everybody's a little different, man. You know, it's
But
okay.
I do think that wheat helped it a little bit.
Dude,
Yeah.
yeah. I think
Yeah,
that sweetness,
absolutely.
that
That
whole
was a
mid
great
palate,
idea
man.
to do that.
The wheat. You know,
Oh, God. This one is so complex, though.
so the other day I was sitting there and I was looking at this and I was going through the old liquor cabinet and I'm not a big gin fan.
Okay.
All right.
Neither am I.
I've had a gincident or two, as Sherry Carter likes to call it. You know, where you've had too much gin, and it was Navy strength gin that got me, which is the worst
Did you
part.
fight a man?
No, gincidents are when you've had too much gin and you don't really remember the next day very well.
I've had vodka with that.
But anyway,
Ironically enough, I do
I was
that quite a
thinking-
bit with bourbon.
I was thinking with the floral notes that come off of gin, with that juniper
Yeah, the
and all those
juniper.
things. What if you finish that with Amburana chips?
Oh.
That is a mad scientist experiment, and I'm all aboard for that.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think there's anything like that on the market.
I don't think
even,
so either.
With an Amburana chip.
That being said, so ironically
thought
enough, I
tequila.
do have a favorite gin,
Okay.
believe it or not, because I really do not like gin. But Rabbit Hole gin is incredible.
Rabbit Hole gin's not bad. I
No.
will say, if I
I'm
was going to drink gin,
wondering-
Rabbit Hole's not bad. Monk's Road is pretty good, actually.
Okay.
I've had their gin.
I
That's
wonder
actually pretty
if
good.
the Rabbit Hole with the Amburana chips.
Listen, anything's possible. Like I said, it
I've
was
got
just one of those
plenty
things.
of
I
it.
started thinking about two different things, and I was like, what if you did gin, and what if you did tequila?
Tequila.
I'm
yeah, I
thinking
can
more
understand.
rum for my
So
aspect.
we've already talked about rum, and I think rum would be
Yeah.
good. I think that you'd have to be very, very. I think you'd have to be selective
Yeah,
of the type
absolutely.
of rum
I
you
think
used, right?
tequila. I think you're hitting it a little bit better with the tequila than you are the rums.
Now, I will say I do want to do a barrel strength rye next.
Oh, bring it on!
And I want to char the chips. So I
okay,
want
dokie.
you to bring over your little blowtorch or whatever. We'll get a pan. We'll char them up.
That's not a problem.
This one that we're drinking now is not charred, correct?
No,
No,
these are just
no.
chips
These
that
are just
came
chips.
through. They're toasted chips. They're not charred. They're toasted.
But I don't. These things are amazing.
Yeah, this turned out
Oh.
really, really well.
Absolutely.
The longer that it sits out, like if you go back and smell the nose again,
Yeah.
it is even better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not quite that batch 1 or batch 2 of that Starlight, but
No,
this
but
is
it's
still pretty
pretty
solid.
It's pretty close considering it's been, 11 days as opposed to
Yeah, I mean they spent
however
months.
many months and months in a barrel. Yeah.
But that's also 53 gallons, right?
right, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a big difference, but, that's what this is for, right? I mean, that's what they've designed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Don't have
Absolutely.
53 gallons of this at home in your basement?
No, I don't have 53 gallons. I might have enough wood to do 53 gallons based on
Yeah.
their chart.
By their chart, we have a barrel's worth.
You're right. I think, Scott, that back palate is the weakest part of it. But
Yeah.
still, to say it's the weakest part, it is
That
not
says a bunch.
not a knock on
Yeah.
it. It's
Right.
still delicious.
And it's super,
Absolutely.
super. I
Yeah.
really appreciate the sweetness and the complexity that comes through on this one for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've just poured a experiment of my own.
Yep.
I did with 3 grams of the wood and a rare breed rye bottle that was mostly full. So this aged for about 6 days
6 days, rare breed rye,
with 3 grams.
or 3 grams.
so no other mixed rye or bourbon in it.
Just straight
in.
bottle with that.
Doesn't have the nose. But you said very specifically when you did this, you
I wasn't
did
trying to-
not want to lose the characteristic of the rare breed.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
trying
I
to
remember
enhance
that.
the characteristics.
Yeah, because on the nose, I just get that nice rye pop from.
Mm-hmm.
It used to
So-
have a little more of the.
So it's got a little bit of a punch though. Like if you really smell it, like especially like I'm getting it on, especially on my right side of my nostril.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little bit more of those baking spices than I would
Yeah,
typically get out of a
little
rare
bit
breed
more-
rye.
Yeah. A little bit more of those, the ones that pop harder.
It doesn't have that like stronger cinnamon
No.
that the barrel strength had, but it's got kind of that like mid cardamom
Yeah.
smell.
Cardamom, a little bit
really
of cinnamon.
Good, and
Little
clove.
bit of
Little bit
cinnamon.
of clove.
Ooh, yeah, clove. Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down, Barbara.
Yep.
That could be the typical rare breed though.
Yeah, very
Yeah, that
true.
could be-
Very true.
All right, I'm gonna dive in for a little sip. Anybody else getting anything crazy off the nose?
I don't think anything really off the nose. It enhances the flavor. To me, like the baking spices
Yeah.
come out more.
So this is my take on it. I think that it doesn't do enough to detract the typical rye spice. So I think if you let it go just a hair longer, I think this would have been really good.
I do too.
Which I still have 3 more. Now, 3
Yeah.
more grams of that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would try it, probably 4 more days.
I don't know. Who knows? I mean, it might only take 2 or 3. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
thing.
Because this definitely did mellow out.
Yeah.
From when I
Yeah.
had it in a jar to.
So that's what I will say. Like, it's got some mellowness to it, but I think the rye itself
still-
it's got some. I actually think it's added like a bite to the rye.
Yeah.
Like
That's
that
what I'm
rare breed
thinking,
doesn't
yeah.
typically have. Like it's more of a spice,
Yeah.
I can see
but
that.
it's baking spice. Like it's those things. It's not like a hot
That
rye.
cardamom and those cloves and
Yep. But I don't think it
tiny
picked
bit
up
of the
enough of the
cinnamon, but-
vanilla or the sugar to kind of
To help
marry.
really
Yes.
yeah.
To balance it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You get a little bit on the back
The
palate.
back palate. Yeah.
Which
No.
makes sense if you weren't really trying to change it all that
Right.
significantly.
Plus, I was the only one trying this. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always get a second palate.
But it still has a nice hearty finish to it, and I do
Yeah.
appreciate
No,
that.
for sure. I
But you're right. I do.
I
lose
don't
some of
dislike
that
it. I just,
vanilla
like I
and
said, I think
caramel.
if you'd let it go just a couple more days, I think you would have had a much more complex.
I do too.
I may
Overall
throw it
flavor.
back in a
Yeah.
jar with some more chips.
I think
Yeah.
that's probably not a bad idea. That'll be interesting to taste it after the fact.
So
I may take a little bit
Well,
out. Then
let's
Yeah.
talk about the next batch. We're going to do a rye batch. We're going to do rye batch. What do we need to put in it to make it right if we're going to do barrel strength?
I mean, you could do Willet, which I know a lot of you in here don't like Willet.
But it's going to be Amburana finished.
Yeah,
Right. That's the issue.
See, my big thing is, so I love rice and I love barrel strength rice. So
Yep.
for me to put it in there, like I'm gonna have a hard time dropping, $50, $60 bottles of
Yeah.
different types of barrel strength rye that I really enjoy. I'm really thinking Knob Creek might be my
Ooh, Knob Creek would
my
be a
hit
good
spot
I was thinking of-
I was about to say, well,
because they're in that $50 range, and and I even like rare breed. I like the thought process of that,
but
but
it's like 65,
it
70
is,
now.
yeah, no, it's gotten real expensive.
Which I have some Willets I'm willing to sacrifice.
Did
to
he
do
say
this.
Odefo?
He did say Elfo.
An Odefo rye in this. Man, that's an expensive proposition. But listen, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I don't hate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
What about a
Now,
Jack,
standard Odefo rye, I could definitely see that as well. But I don't know.
What about a Jack Daniels?
Jack Daniels rye?
The
They're not barrel strength.
the
though.
barrel strength rye.
Good luck finding one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
I mean, I'd
And-
love to have one. I'd love to have
Yeah.
just have one.
Just that one.
How much are we willing to expend on an experiment?
That's
the
the
next
thing.
question.
That's the thing. So, I
Yeah.
mean, because that's the thing. Because it's going to take roughly 5 bottles. It's going to take
Yeah.
5 bottles to do
Yeah,
it. You're going
it-
to get roughly 5 bottles in a gallon. We end up getting 4. I dropped one of the bottles while I was filling it because my hand got too wet and like it dropped and like there was liquid kind of gushing out of the out of one of the bottles. So,
Wait, you were holding on to something and liquid gushed out of it. What are we talking about?
So I was pouring it. So well, that happens too.
That's a different
so
conversation.
I was pouring it over the sink, right? And it was kind of sitting in the sink, but not like all the way down in the sink. And
You do realize you are digging it great.
I don't care. Listen,
Good.
I'm not scared. I ain't scared.
You ain't scarred.
I ain't scared.
Good.
So I was pouring it, and I was pouring, and it got a little heavy, so it got around my hand. So I was trying to move my fingers to kind of get it away from the bottle, and not so it's not running off my hand into the bottle. And when I did that, I got too far down on my fingertips, and it dropped it.
You fumbled it.
I fumbled it. Yeah, I fumbled it.
Yeah, he did base.
So are we wanting to do a barrel strength, or just if we do a non-barrel strength one, it'd be a lot easier to do.
We could maybe do a blend. So it's
Yeah.
not
I
not
think
100
probably
proof, but it's not barrel strength. We could do like some regular OFO rye, some Wild Turkey 101 rye, and then mix some other
Yeah,
stuff
I
with
think
it.
that's probably a better
Because that
idea.
would lessen the cost.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
Would you include a double oaked rye in that?
No.
Or is that a little
No.
just too?
I think that's gonna
too
be
We
too
much?
haven't
much.
added any finished ones.
We haven't
to
added any
of this.
finished. Well, we did technically all the OFO and the Wild Turkey were technically finished, but
Not enough to
not enough
really
to
worry
where I
about.
think it would impact it. Yeah.
If you go technicalities.
Yeah. So we put the bullets. Remember the bullets
Yeah.
episodes
Yes.
we did? We put all those in the first batch that we did.
Yeah.
That was the Wild Turkey and
God.
It turned out
Forster.
wonderful.
And it
No,
turned
I
out
know
wonderful.
that
Yeah.
first one was knock it out the park.
So let's do that then. This one versus the first batch. Which one did you like best?
This batch.
This
Same.
batch?
Yep.
I'm gonna have
first
to go the
batch-
first.
I don't, man. Me and Barbara might be in an agreement here. I'm not sure.
Which is
This is really good. This
Yeah.
is really good.
Wait. Let's take a moment. What
Okay.
did you just say?
I said me and Barbara may be agreeing.
This is the first.
I wanna make sure I just
I'm
get
gonna
hit
ask,
with a
I'm gonna ask
baseball.
Nick to get me the original batch.
Yes.
Go get the original. I gotta re-smell. I'm gonna go.
Get me one too.
I think the original batch probably had a little bit more flavor.
Yeah, this has got a fantastic
yeah.
mid palate though, man.
I know.
I love the mid palate
That
on
I
this.
think the
Palate's
back palate
incredible.
on the original is actually better than this, but I like the mid way more.
All right, let's see.
Going back and just
I
smelling.
love science.
The,
Oh, look, Nick's got us prepared. I love this.
Good.
Going back and just smelling the empty glass, it pulls out a really strong maple as well into that mix of vanilla
Anybody else want to try this
and caramel.
around? I didn't put the lid all the way on. Be careful.
This is the original, the first batch you did.
That's
first
their
batch.
first.
Yes,
That's
sir.
our first batch.
That bottle's gone, Carl, by the way.
Not a shock. I've kept what I have.
We killed that on my birthday.
No, I think it's the second batch, man. Just off nose, but let me take a pull.
So we had 10 bottles on the barrel strength. How many bottles did we have?
As tasty as the first one is, I think I agree with the fellas. I think the second one is better.
We only had six combos.
6 combos in the first.
But they're just Wild Turkey 101 and OFO 100. So literally it was 100.5 proof.
Basically,
We're close, something close.
finish is better on the first one, but everything else about the second one is better. Nose, mid palate, front palate.
Agreed.
Barbara's still trying to decide whether she agrees now or not. Are you still number one?
I am still number one.
That's all right. Listen, man.
Which is ironic because I
to
really
each their own.
Oh, bite my ass. So, which is ironic because I really do love those rice spices and all of that fun stuff. But there is just something that's so mellow and perfect with that first batch that's just hitting everything for me.
Well, that first batch you could literally hand to anybody and
Absolutely.
they would have drank it no problem. This one might be a little more advanced or someone's drank a little bit more.
Yeah. I don't know.
What's curious to me is if you look at this process of putting chips into bourbons that you have readily available for the most part around the house.
Yep.
And versus going out and purchasing an Amburana finished product.
Right.
Would it be something long term that is better, like economically even?
Oh, academically, 100%.
to do that as opposed
Now, I will
to
say the wood chips, I want to say, were like $60 for
$60 for a giant bag.
But it's a
I would-
giant
Yeah,
bag. I mean, it would
giant.
last you in perpetuity if you were just literally just
Yeah.
putting a few bottles
If you're
every
doing
now
what
and
they
then back.
suggest, it's 1 to 2 grams for every basically
Liter.
bottle
For every
Yeah.
liter. Yeah.
So with 3, which you're upping it, you're still probably going to do almost a barrel's worth of
Yeah.
bottles.
There's 120 grams in
Yeah.
in a bag.
Okay.
So
Which is hard
120
as it-
divided by 3 is what, 40? So you could do 40 barrels, 40 bottles.
Which, as hard as it is for just even like distillers to get barrels now, and rather than having like new barrels of that, rather than have to reuse them, I mean that's a viable experiment to do.
That's our review of these. Thank you again, Northeast Barrel. Hopefully I'll remember to mention you the next time we do this because
I feel like there's a podcast 3 coming.
Because we got too excited.
I feel like we got
So-
another episode coming on the rise. But anyway, that's our episode. If you want to find Bourbon Barrel Talk, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or the Twitter. Make sure you email us any questions at bourbonbarreltalk@gmail.com. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, whether you're listening on on Spotify, YouTube, Pandora, your mama's music, whatever.
Apple.
Apple, exactly. You find any of those, you can find us. We're out there. This is Scott, Carl, Barbara, and Big J.E. in the house. Peace out.
See
Peace
ya.
out.
Later.